language spoken, you will need to select English when that language is spoken. 3 years ago, ASEAN member states came together to assess progress on social service workforce strengthening. Together with the support of UNICEF and the Global Social Service Workforce Alliance, we identified the gaps and the priority actions required to strengthen social work and the workforce, delivering these critical services to the most vulnerable in our communities. Member states concluded that a strong framework for action was needed to support accelerated action. This resulted in the heads of state adopting the Hanoi Declaration on Strengthening Social Work towards Cohesive and Responsive ASEAN Community in 2020. This landmark declaration was issued during the COVID-19 pandemic, which highlighted how instrumental social workers are in providing essential and life-serving services to communities, families, and children. Last year, the ASEAN Roadmap for the implementation of the Hanoi Declaration on Strengthening Social Work for Cohesive and Responsive ASEAN Community was noted, which lays out key priority areas and proposals for national and regional action to strengthen the social service workforce. The purpose of this conference is to therefore bring all key stakeholders together, ASEAN member states and bodies, social workers and social service workers from the region, as well as UN and other development partners, civil society, academia, and experts to reflect on how we can ensure the roadmap is implemented at the national level in ASEAN and that social workers are effectively supported to carry out their role. I'm excited to lead you through this opening session where we will further explore the criticality of investing in social work in ASEAN. It is my honor to introduce you to His Excellency Ekapap Pantavong, Deputy Secretary General of ASEAN for ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community, who will offer his opening remarks through a pre-recorded video.
Excellency Nguyen Van Hoi, Vice Minister of the Ministry of Labor, Invalids and Social Affairs of Vietnam, Excellency Jocelyn Nivan, Undersecretary, Department of the Social Welfare and Development of the Philippines, Somewhat leaders for the Philippines, and the coordinator for the ASEAN Social Work Consortium. Ms. Deborah Comini, Regional Director, UNICEF to East Asia and the Pacific Region to the Office. Somewhat leaders and the members of ASEAN the Social Work Consortium. Representatives from the other ASEAN sectoral bodies, development and the dialogue partners, international organizations, civil society organizations, and academic institutions. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ASEAN Intersectoral Regional Conference on the strengthening the social work and implementing the ASEAN roadmap. Let me start by congratulating the Philippines and Vietnam for organizing this regional conference with the support of the Somewhat and the ASEAN Social Work Consortium, ASWC, and UNICEF. This is the multi-sectoral and the multi-stakeholder regional dialogue to strengthen the social work and realize the roadmap to implement the Hanoi Declaration on strengthening the social work towards a cohesive and responsive to ASEAN community is a very timely and encouraging initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, our people continue to face increasingly risks and vulnerabilities brought about by global issues and realities, including the massive disasters, climate change, peace and security, and recently the COVID-19 pandemic. These issues make it doubly hard to eradicate extreme poverty and rising inequality. There is no doubt that our social workers and the wider social service workforce have been and will continue to be at the front lines of effectively delivering quality services to our people. More than ever, we recognize the need for strengthen the social service workforce, who are the essential catalysts for change in protecting and promoting the rights and the welfare of the people, working towards the building an equal, inclusive, resilient, and the cohesive ASEAN community, leaving no one behind. As an indispensable part of each country's welfare system, social workers and social service workers need an enabling environment for the performance of their duties, the success of which directly impacts the lives of ASEAN people. The regional framework for social work that calls for its professionalization and the expansion in the region, emanating the regional framework for social work that calls for its professional and expansion in the region, emanating from the Hanoi Declaration on the strengthening to social work, is therefore an important step in the right direction. Furthermore, the roadmap to implement the declaration contains robust measures, ensuring a stronger and integrated action among the key sectors to strengthen the role of social workers in the social protection, health, education, justice, and disaster management, as well as in delivering mental health support services. Ladies and gentlemen, inspired by Cambodia's 2022 ASEAN chairmanship theme, ASEAN Acts, addressing the challenges together, I urge everyone to maximize this conference by sharing our learnings and the experiences, translate our commitments into the concrete actions, and start reimagining the future of social work in ASEAN. Before I conclude, let me thank UNICEF for the sustained support extended to SOMSWOT and the ASWC, which has been vital in keeping the momentum on promoting the regional solidarity, on the strengthening the social work in the region. On this note, I wish you all a fruitful discussion ahead. Thank you very much.
For your remarks, and let me highlight His Excellency's request that we transform the commitments in the Hanoi Declaration and the roadmap into concrete action as we truly come together to reimagine the future of social work in ASEAN. It is now my pleasure to introduce His Excellency Nguyen Van Huy, Vice Minister of the Ministry of Labor, Invalids and Social Affairs of Vietnam, for his opening remarks.
Her Excellency Jocelyn P. Nguyen, Under Secretary, Department of Social Welfare and Development of the Philippines and Coordinator of the ASWC of the ASEAN Social Work Consortium, Ms. Deborah Comini, Regional Director, UNICEF East Asia and Pacific Regional Office, Her Excellency Ikafa Pantavong, Deputy Secretary General of ASEAN for ASEAN Social Cultural Community, ladies and gentlemen, the representatives of ASEAN sectoral bodies. First of all, I would like to welcome and thank you for taking your time to attend the ASEAN Intersectoral Regional Conference on strengthening social work and implementing the roadmap on the implementation of the Hanoi Declaration. Although we cannot meet in person due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. I believe that our conference will be successful with your active participation with good technical connection. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, after the adoption of the Hanoi Declaration on strengthening social work toward cohesive and responsive ASEAN community in 2020 is a roadmap for the implementation of the declaration was noted by ASEAN leaders at the 38th and 39th ASEAN summits in 2021. The notation continue to confirm ASEAN commitment to invest in promoting and strengthening the role of social work, including capacity building for social workers in the ASEAN community. With 7 priority areas to rely 11 commitment of ASEAN leaders, the roadmap for the implementation of the Hanoi Declaration are of great significance to ASEAN member states in the context that the current situation of social work has not yet been met the needs of people, especially vulnerable groups in the new context of pandemic, aging, and climate change. In recent years, Vietnam has made many positive changes in the field of social work. In particular, on January 22, 2021, the government of Vietnam issued the program on social work development 2021-2030 with the goal of further promoting the development of social work, enhancing socialization, improving the quality of social work services in various fields, meeting the needs of providing social work services to people. At the same time, the program has set out 8 specific tasks and solutions, including some typical tasks and solutions such as building and consolidating legal documents on social work, developing a new network of social work services providers, renovating programs and contents of social work training and education, promoting propaganda to raise awareness of civil servants, public employees, and people on social work, strengthening international cooperation and exchange, doing research and survey on the model of providing social work services of other countries in the region, in the world, to promote the development of social work. The tasks and solutions are on well aligned with the general priority outlined in the roadmap for the implementation of the Hanoi Declaration. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that resources, professionalism of social work and finance are extremely important to strengthening the roles of social work and social workers. At the same time, promoting cooperation in all relevant sectoral areas, which makes an important contribution to enhancing the broader development of social work. I hope that this important conference will provide an opportunity for the delegates from ASEAN sectoral bodies such as social welfare and development, health, education, justice, finance, among others. Representatives from international and regional organizations to discuss and exchange about the role of social work as well as concern the development of guidelines on the role of social workers in social protection, minimum ratio of social worker per population toward the mutual recognition for social work in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, I would like to express my thanks to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, for continuing to support ASEAN in promoting the implementation of the roadmap as well as social work activities in the general. I would also like to thank and call for the support of international organizations and related development organizations to join hands in promoting social welfare and development in general and social work in particular, contributing to building a cohesive, responsive, and people-centered ASEAN community. We wish our confidence great success, wishing you on health and safety. Thank you.
For your insightful remarks. And now let me welcome Ms. Deborah Kamani, Regional Director of UNICEF East Asia and the Pacific. UNICEF is a key partner of ASEAN in strengthening social work and the co-convener of this conference. Ms. Kamani, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning, Excellency Ekapap Pantavong, Deputy Secretary General of ASEAN for the ASEAN Social Culture Community, Excellency Nguyen Van Hoi, Vice Minister of Labor, Invalids and Social Affairs of Vietnam, Excellency Joseline Miwane, Under Secretary, Department of Social Welfare and Development of the Philippines and coordinator of the ASEAN Social Work Consortium, government delegates, partners, all participants today. UNICEF is delighted to be co-hosting the ASEAN Regional Conference on Strengthening Social Work together with ASEAN and the governments of Vietnam and the Philippines. As you saw spelled out in the video we saw a few minutes ago, social workers are our heroes. They are the front line of supporting the most vulnerable of our communities. During COVID-19, as deprivations piled up, social workers placed themselves at personal risk to ensure that critical social services continued, including for children who faced increased harm. A core mandate of UNICEF is to support and strengthen family environments and to protect children, especially the most marginalized, from all forms of violence, abuse, neglect, exploitation. This requires a well-functioning, well-resourced social welfare system that is capable of supporting all vulnerable individuals, families, and communities. A critical component of the system is, of course, the social service workforce, government and non-governmental professionals, and also para-professionals working across sectors, including social welfare, health, justice, education. In addition to delivering critical support services, the social service workforce is instrumental in promoting social justice, reducing causes of inequality, alleviating poverty. Without the contribution of social workers, we cannot attain the sustainable development goals. We cannot effectively mitigate the socio-economic impact of COVID-19. However, UNICEF 2019 regional mapping of workforces that we carried out in collaboration with governments and the Social Global Service Workforce Alliance found that the value of social workers is not widely recognized in the region as it should. Consequently, while there has certainly been progress across ASEAN, the social service workforce remains under-resourced, understaffed, and under-supported. And in most countries, social work is often seen as charity work, lesson work, rather than being recognized as a profession. Now, social workers have highly challenging and very complex jobs, and they must receive the resources, the support, the recognition they require, including through the professionalization of social work, to deliver for the most vulnerable in society. We owe it to them and to the communities they serve. In 2020, a significant milestone was reached with the first ASEAN Declaration on Social Work and Social Workers that was adopted, followed last year by the roadmap for its implementation. UNICEF was proud to support this critical regional framework that represents a compelling call for greater political commitment and investment to expand social work and strengthen social service workforces across the region. It is vital that this framework is now translated into concrete action through strong national leadership and efforts across all relevant sectors by governments, NGOs, and development partners. This conference provides a critical opportunity for exchange on best and good and promising practices to strengthen social work. We hope it will also inspire accelerated and collective action across ASEAN to strengthen social work and workforce and to support frontline workers as they deliver for the most vulnerable. UNICEF remains a committed partner to ASEAN for the implementation of the declaration and the roadmap at the regional and at the national level with our regional office and country offices in each country. And quoting the tagline, "Let us stand together for social workers." Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kamini and UNICEF, for your continued commitment to supporting social workers in reaching the most vulnerable families and children in partnership with ASEAN. And to conclude the opening remarks from our distinguished guests, last but definitely not the least, let me welcome Her Excellency Jocelyn P. Niwani, Undersecretary, Department of Social Welfare and Development of the Philippines, Samsud Focal Point for Philippines, and Coordinator of the ASWC. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am excited and I look forward to our productive discussions for today and the next 2 days. On behalf of the Philippine delegation, allow me to thank Vietnam for co-hosting this event, for being steadfast in their advocacy and commitment for the advancement of social work. I also wish to take this opportunity to thank UNICEF for their valuable support and expressed commitment, warranting the accomplishment of key deliverables in the roadmap to implement the Hanoi Declaration on strengthening social work towards cohesive and responsive ASEAN community. The adoption of the Hanoi Declaration was a milestone that paved the way for the harmonization of strategies and endeavors towards the advancement and promotion of the social work profession, as well as its education and practice. Its development provided an important platform to highlight key actions and contributions of social work and social welfare service workforce in realizing a people-centered, people-oriented, and inclusive ASEAN community. This declaration has set a framework of cooperation and collaboration with strategies aimed to strengthen social work in ASEAN, a huge opportunity to discuss and address the different challenges faced by the ASEAN member states on social work concerning legislation, support, protection, and resource allocation, among others. Contributing to this initiative, The roadmap for the implementation of the Hanoi Declaration consolidated and reinforced existing commitments and aspirations of ASEAN on strengthening social work and social service workforce towards the effective and responsive and sustainable delivery of inclusive and quality social service to promote well-being and uplift the lives of the ASEAN peoples, most especially our vulnerable sectors. With the stronger ASEAN Social Work Consortium recognizing its significant progress since its establishment more than a decade ago, we continuously evolve and expand, strengthening solidarity among our network of social work educators and practitioners and advocates of social welfare. The recently approved ASEAN Social Work Consortium Work Plan 2021 to 2025 reflects our collective and compelling aspirations for social